Hi, everyone. My name is Catherine Schulte. I am the External Affairs Representative for TDEC for the Memphis area. Thank you for joining us today. This webinar is going to walk you through the application process for our Brownfield redevelopment area grants. And so this won't be a super long session. We'll have Amy present for about 15 minutes. We've also got folks from our grant management system here, and they'll be talking a little bit as well. And we'll have some time afterwards for some questions. If you have questions as we go along, you can put them in the chat and we'll try to get them covered. And so with that, I'm going to hand things over to Amy. She is the BRAG program coordinator.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. We're going to walk through this grant management system, which we call GMS. And I'm actually going to let one of our GMS folks, I think it's Savannah, that's going to kick it off because she's going to explain the very first steps. Let's say that you've never done a grant with the state of Tennessee, so maybe you're not familiar with the grant management system. Those first early steps are how to register and how to affiliate your account with a city or county in the state of Tennessee. And then once we get into the application, I'll go ahead and take over. Do you want to start us off, Savannah?
Hi, yes. So my name is Savannah Modal. I've been working with TDEC for about 2 years now. I'm one of the primary administrators for the Grants Management System, or GMS as we call it normally. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So when you first log in, well, when you first go to our grants site, let me, hang on just a second. For some reason my mouse disappeared. Oh, there it is. So when you first log into GMS, this is the login page that you'll see. So if you don't already have an account within the system, you can go ahead and sign up for an account, or we can help you get that situated. You would log in with your normal email and password. And then, let's see. When you log in, this is the main landing page that you'll see. Give it a second to load. This will be your home page when you log in. So on the left over here, you'll have your funding opportunities. You can apply for the different grants that are provided through TDEC. And as you can see, the Brownfield ones are listed at the top here. And you'll have this apply now button and the deadline for when you need to apply by. After the deadline is passed, it may still show up, but it will show that there's a deadline passed in red text, so you won't be able to apply for that anymore. But the first thing that and you can also see your applications here. The first thing that you'll want to do is make sure that you are affiliated with the correct organization. So if you go up to here, this little cube, you can see that I'm currently affiliated with the City of Sunshine, which is our tester organization. So you can submit an affiliation request. So you would go to and click that button, press the affiliation request. You can search for your organization in here. So let's just say I want to affiliate with the City of Nashville. Let's say Davidson County. So you can select it. You would put in your title and email and phone and how you're affiliated with that organization. If you go through this search and for whatever reason your organization that will take you to this page where you can put in the organization, their contact information, and all of that. That's if you can't find the organization in the system, but the system has every county, every city, and a lot of other organizations in the system, so it should already be in there. So once you actually, put in title, email, phone, you can submit, and you'll be affiliated with that organization. And it's typical for a person to be affiliated with only one organization, and it's also normal for a person to be affiliated with multiple organizations, such as in the case of like utility districts and things like that. If you are submitting on behalf of a different organization, just make sure that whenever you do start, you are affiliated with the correct organization before you submit your application. So I'm currently affiliated with the City of Sunshine. I'm going to go and hit the apply now for one of the Brownfield grants. You would hit accept, submit, and proceed. And then this creates your application for the City of Sunshine. And yes, you would go through, and I believe this is where Amy would like to pick up. Is that right?
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And let me just go back 1 minute.
And then while she's pulling that up, I did want to note that currently only the head of the organization and the person who created the application, those are the only two people in the system who can view your application, aside from like TDEC staff like myself or Amy. They can view the application, but for anyone else to have access to your application, you need to submit a request to have us affiliate another person with your application.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks, Savannah. So if in the instance you lose the link to how to get to Smart Simple, so the Smart Simple website, that takes you to the grant management system. But if you want to work around and you don't have it bookmarked yet, you can just go to the Brownfield Redevelopment Area main page, our website here with the state of Tennessee, and this red button right here at the top that I have flashing at the top, apply for the grant, that will take you directly to the GMS website. I'm already logged in, so it's going to automatically pull me up to what I can see. I can see a different view from you folks. But I'm going to go ahead and go into this faux City of Sunshine application and begin walking through the application process. So these first several tabs you see across the top, and by the way, this is for an investigation grant. I'm not going to do the identification grant just because there are so few questions in an identification grant, and everything we talk about when we're going through an investigation one will cover that. And then remediation is also very similar to investigation. It's going to be the same tabs. There's just going to be a couple more questions for remediation. So the investigation grant is the middle sweet spot, and that's what we're going to walk through today. So these first few tabs, purpose and overview, timeline eligibility, and it keeps going. This language in here is the same language you're going to see in the grant manual. We've customized the language under each of these tabs to pertain to the project type that you've selected. So all of this language in here, if there's a situation where it has to be specific to one of the grant types, it'll be specific to investigation, but for the most part, a lot of it is the same across the three application types. Here on the resources and contact tab, you're going to have the links that just, they may be helpful for you when you're putting together your application. They may not. And here we have the VOAP fee structure. If you're a tier 3 or tier 4 community that's applying for an investigation or remediation grant, you can go ahead and click on this VOAP fee structure if you want to get an idea of what type of costs you want to include in your budget. If you're a tier 1, tier 2 county applying, you're not eligible to include these VOAP fees in your budget, but you might still want to take a look to see what you want to prepare yourselves for. I'll go back to selection criteria. This selection criteria button down here at the bottom, of course, is temporarily unavailable. But what that would pop up is a little table, and it's the same table in the grant manual for investigation. So if you're in an identification grant, this button will take you to the selection criteria for identification. The same thing with remediation. This post-award information is I would take this as like a hint of the type of things that would be included in your contract. We don't have the full contract flushed out yet for anyone that's going to receive an award, what you would be required to do, but the deliverables and activities listed here are the types of things that you will see in that contract if awarded funds. I'm going to skip over additional criteria for a moment, and I'm going to go to some of these other ones. Title VI compliance, you should all be familiar with that. General information. This is where we start seeing the tab where you're going to start inputting information about your project. So for example, this is completed by Jennifer Jones. She works with Savannah. She's one of our folks on our GMS team, and it pulled information from City of Sunshine. And I got kicked out.
I was going to say, Amy, it was about to kick you out because of the temporary service thing. You'll just have to log back in.
Okay, I'll close that tab and let it bring me back in. Okay. I'm going to go back down to Jennifer's investigation grant. Okay. So if something like that happens, folks, if you click on something and it says service temporarily unavailable, it happens from time to time. It's only going to last for a couple minutes. Just, close the window and log back in and it should fix itself. And so we were over here in general information, and this organization profile, this was all automatically pulled from those very beginning stages where you're affiliating your account with one of the organizations. So that'll automatically get pulled once you affiliate. But then here's some of the other key information. All the applications will have this question: please specify which county the project will be primarily located in. And I do know that there are some instances where there's more than one county that the work is happening. Just do your best to choose one of them for this particular question. If you're applying for an identification grant and your proposal involves doing identification work in 2 cities that are in different counties, or some area of a county and some area of a city of a different county, that's fine. Just do your best guess of where the most amount of work is going to be happening. And here's the drop down. You can select any of them. This is all self-explanatory right here, but then here's your opportunity that if it is an instance where it covers more than one county, you can go ahead and select the additional counties that would be involved, where any activities of the proposal would be involved. For population served, again, this is, put together what you think is the most appropriate. If you're doing work in one city and then in the same proposal, you're also doing work in another city, just to combine the populations of both those cities and then put it in as the total population served. Federal EIN number is also self-explanatory. So let's move on to budget and attachments. This application has a very handy budget justification worksheet. And can you guys see that when it pops up?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so here's where you're going to go through and put together some of the numbers that we're going to want to see in your budget. Now, this is pretty simple. So your budget that you've created for this project may be more complex, and that's fine. Just transfer the numbers that would be appropriate over into this, but the grand total should still be the same as your more complex budget. This will need to be submitted with your grant. But if you have a more complex budget that maybe breaks things down a little bit clearer for us to understand where the funds are going to, Jennifer has added a button, I believe, that allows you to also submit your own budget that you've created in your own document. Is that correct, Jennifer?
It's not on there yet, but it will be by the end of today.
And would that be somewhere right here on this page?
It'll be, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of that tab, it'll show up down there. It's just not there yet. Okay. Yeah, so once you fill that worksheet out, both of those, the line item details and the budget worksheet, will display the information that you put into that button.
Okay.
And so you'll have to end up scrolling completely down to the bottom of the page at that point, and that's where it will be.
Okay, I can't scroll right now because we haven't submitted.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm. And that button to submit is going to be, you would input your numbers here and then see personnel fee, grant amount, interest, depreciation, any of these numbers, and then you'll hit save and that'll pop up right in here. So let's move on from the budget and attachments. Partner information. This is in the instance of you are the mayor of the city of Sunshine, but you are going to be working closely with an environmental consultant. We would ask that you include that partner's information here. So you'll click this plus sign, and then a new tab will open in just a moment. And basically all it's asking for is name, phone number, email address, and what company they're affiliated with. Jennifer, do you think this is doing this because it's going to kick me out again?
It's doing it on my side too, so I'm trying to let it think for a second.
I'll hit the back button and see what happens. Okay.
Yep. You should be good.
Okay. And so we were over here in partner information. I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to skip just in case that happens again. But when you click partner information, it really only is like 4 boxes of information that you're putting in there. I want to move on to project information because this is where the bulk of the questions are affiliated with your project. So we're going to, I think it's easier if I
Do a
click
new
for a
one.
new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this right here is going to be all the questions that you see that are affiliated with your scoring criteria and the grant manual. Again, there aren't that many questions. You know, right down here, we're asking for a project description, the total funding that's being requested. Though I believed, Jennifer, I chose an investigation grant. Maybe I chose identification grant, but let's make sure this number is correct because if it's an investigation, it should be 100,000. But I might have clicked the wrong one. Yeah, it is investigation. Jennifer, let's change this to 100,000.
Okay.
So these questions right here, go ahead and put, you know, you can say, for example, some of these are kind of like yes or no questions. If the answer is no, but there's shades of gray, please feel free to go ahead and elaborate. Because we want to be able to give you as many points as possible. So, you know, it says, if yes, please describe, if no, state no. But if it's not just no, if it's somewhere in the middle, please kind of give us some context to work with there. And then this is really all the questions here. So there isn't that many questions we're asking, but I do want to say that there is this notes section over here on the left side. And if you click on notes, you get the opportunity. I'm clicking just so that you saw this. I clicked this plus sign in the right here in the top corner of notes for a new note. And this note will get submitted with your grant. So if there's other context that you want us to know about your proposal that you think makes it stronger, but we didn't specifically ask about these other issues or these other criteria that might be popping up in your proposal, please feel free to explain it here. For example, we don't ask in this application whether or not there's any signs of not restricted, but like endangered or protected species activity happening around the area. Obviously, that is something that we would want to know if that's happening, because we would definitely want to make sure that those lands get remediated and the contamination is taken care of to protect those sensitive species. So if that was something that came up that you noticed, like we've seen, you know, 2 eagles' nests in the area because this particular property backs up to a stream or a river, then you know, this might be a place that you would want to include that information. And that's just one example. Another example could be there is a elementary school that is, you know, downhill or kind of like lower elevation of this property. And based on what we know from the phase 1 and phase 2, there is groundwater contamination. You know, that could be something that would be really important for you to include in your proposal. Because, you know, all brownfields, they're not all created equally. They're all very different. They all have different aspects that make one maybe more sensitive than another, or maybe more pertinent that we address than another. So please feel free to put any notes like that in this body here. You'll hit save, and when you submit your proposal, this will come with it. So let's go.
Your call is being processed by MyTel voicemail. You reached the voicemail for Tiffany Henry, Director of...
Okay, thank you. All right, let's go back to the main page here. And then I'm going to scroll over 2. So this was project information that we were just talking about. You don't have to go through the project information tab to get to that notes section. This notes will always be right here regardless of which tab you're actually on. Certification is just certifying the accuracy of your proposal. Please do not certify it until you're ready to hit submit and you've looked through the whole thing. Authorized signatory, same thing. Self-debarment. This is all standard stuff for, accepting any sort of public funding. Application summary. This is not a place where we're looking for you to upload an application summary. This is a place where you have the opportunity to download the summary of all the information that you have input to date. If you go to application summary and you try to pull out that application summary before you're finished, you're not going to have a complete PDF. Because this grant is turning out to be a little bit more competitive than we originally thought it was going to be, I do recommend downloading the application summary once you've hit submit. This way, in the off chance that we're not able to receive, to give your project funding this year, now you have this PDF that tells you everything that you had submitted, has all that information in one spot, and you can go ahead and submit that information again for next year if it's the same property that you're still interested in the next grant cycle. Now, next year, we do expect that there may be some changes in the questions, or we might ask things in a different way. As you know, this is our first year doing it, so we're just trying to make it accessible for everyone this year. But there may be some changes, so you won't be able to directly input the exact same information, but it'll be a good baseline for you to be able to submit again if it's the same property that you're interested in. This current documents is just a place really for you and I to stay organized about our correspondence with each other. If you send me an email that is really detailed and has a lot of questions, and then I send you an email back responding to them, and you want to keep track of that correspondence, we can include those files. We can download those emails and put it here so that this portal right here is kind of a one-stop shop for you to have all of the correspondence about this project. And then that is the last tab. I'm going to go back over here. And earlier there was a tab I skipped, and it's additional criteria. Don't forget to go back to this one, because this is one where there's additional points that you can receive. So, we had skipped over these first few because this is really just language for you to read about the program. And then we went to general information, partner information, budget and attachments, project information. Once you've finished these right here, especially after you've finished project information, go back here to additional criteria. And this is where you can include some information about these 2 questions right here that could give you additional points. It says right here, it's for an additional 20 priority points towards your application. And the 2 questions are whether the population of the town or city that the site is located in is 10,000 or less, or whether or not there's been any demonstration of public interest in the supporting the reuse of the property. You have the opportunity to explain here, but you also have the opportunity to upload a document. So for example, if there's been a council meeting recently talking about the reuse of the project, or if there's been complaints from the public about this project or about this particular property because it hasn't been remediated and it is contaminated, anything that you feel would be compelling towards, that number 2, the public interest, you can go ahead and upload those files here. And then that is really the extent of the questions that are being asked. It's, this part right here, a few general things under general information and partner information. I think the bulk of your work would be putting together your budget and then answering the questions in project information. Now, if this is an investigation site, so see how we have 3 listed here. This is to give you the option, if you choose to submit for multiple sites under investigation. So as you know, the investigation grant category has a maximum of $100,000 in funding. If you wanted to do just a phase 1 on one site, but then you wanted to do a phase 1 and a phase 2 on another site, because you may have enough funding available in that 100,000. You know, if they're relatively small sites, you may have enough funding to do some environmental site assessments on 2 different locations. And that's what this allows. So when you click the plus button, you're answering all those questions about one site. And then you'll come back and you'll click the plus button again, and you'll answer all those questions about the second site. So, you know, in the course of me giving these webinars and us testing it in the background, we have created now 3 sites under this proposal. What I will say is, if you are taking that path, if you are planning to apply for investigation funds and you're going to do so with multiple sites in mind to max out that full $100,000 budget, we request that you please let us know which site is your priority. Because if it is a very competitive grant cycle and we're only able to fund one of them, use this notes section here, or you can supply an additional attachment that clearly lets us know which of those 2 sites is your priority if we're only able to fund one. And then that is all of, that's all that I have here, Katie, if you want to move on to any of the questions that have popped up.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.